Well, we finally have the truth of the, largely Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Tenet Media, Lauren Chen story. And I can't say I'm surprised. If you remember a few years ago or a year ago or so, there was this huge story that came out, and it was like, hey, Benny Johnson and Tim Pool are being funded by Russia, and we can prove it. Now, these charges came out of the Southern District of New York. I believe, at least in my opinion, that the Southern District of New York is a criminal organization. It is the organization that covered up for Jeffrey. It is the organization that bungled the Diddy prosecution. It is the organization that falsely, illegally prosecuted Donald Trump. By the way, actually, I should probably change how this looks because we're on my regular channel, Jeremy Hambley, just me. I'm trying to take my name back, the SEO. I was talking with Tim, and we need to, I need to get my name SEO back. So this is a new channel where I will upload one video a day, every day. So please feel free to subscribe or follow. It'll be great. It's on YouTube right now. I'll put it on Rumble later. Now, Lauren Chen broke her silence after a very long time and said this. To be clear, my own commentary has never been shaped by outside parties, despite, let's start over. Statement. Over the past year, I have brought trials that I've never imagined. There is so much I have to say for now, but for now, I will do my best to answer a question. I know many of you are asking, what happened? On September 4th, 2024, 2 months before the general election, my husband, 2-year-old, and I were awoken early morning by 30 armed FBI agents about to break down our door. At the time, I was entering my 4th month of pregnancy. The FBI spent the next 4 hours searching our house and interrogating us about our company, Tenet, which licensed mostly right-leaning conservative content. They took all of our electronics, seized our assets. This included our life savings and revenue, and had nothing to do with Tenet, such as payments from contracts with the Blaze and TPUSA. The same day, Attorney General Merrick Garland published a press release which essentially labeled Tenet as Russian propaganda operation intent on subverting American elections. The Department of Justice also unsealed the company, but were not in U.S. custody or even in the country. This lengthy indictment of these individuals were largely focused on Tenet, though most of the information provided was false, inaccurate, or out of context. There were also claims made concerning issues outside of our knowledge, as we regard those allegations with extreme skepticism. By the way, on this channel, I'll also be doing long-form videos, different than what you get on the quartering and different than what you get in on my live stream. So I hope you like, and I hope this channel grows, and I hope you subscribe. Garland painted Tenet as a covert Russian propaganda mouthpiece and our conservative-leaning talent as unwitting propagandists. The implication was that Russian government was astroturfing support for Trump in the upcoming election, and that his conservative and right-wing supporters online, independent media merely behind him because they were paid to be. The notion was categorically untrue. To be clear, my own commentary has never been shaped. I won't read this whole thing. I won't read the whole thing, but basically the charges were dropped. It says here, there would have been in April, so this was 6 months ago, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Southern District of New York informed our lawyer that the investigation into us and our company had finally been closed. The news provided us with some relief, but soon became clear that although we weren't criminals, the Southern District of New York had no interest in restoring us to where we were before the investigation began. And I have invited Lauren on the show, by the way, to talk about this. Though they could easily do so. There would be no similar press release absolving us from the very public and very serious allegations that have been made against us. There would be no help clearing our names with the Canadian government. They would not restore our visa status. They had to leave the country, by the way. And predictably, despite a lack of charges or even conviction, our financial assets, all of our savings, still have not been returned. That's actually bonkers. That's actually bonkers. We've lived humbly this past year due to both financial woes and public vilification. We have very little certainty about our future as a family, what it will look like. Because my American visa was contingent upon our company, we had no choice but to leave our home and our children's birthplace. We were doing everything in our power to get a new visa and return home. Sadly, we also lost some people who we believed were our friends, but we're blessed by quite a number of our colleagues reach out with words of support. Some even published videos posted in our defense. I am humbled to say that there are many to thank individually. I'm pretty sure I always thought this basically boiled down to Lauren Chen saw something that was maybe a little bit too good to be true and I didn't do a full due diligence. That's not necessarily a crime. You know, it was Tim Pool reported that he was receiving $100,000 an episode for a show that was only getting 7,000 live viewers. Like, to me, that was bonkers. If somebody offered the quartering, you know, we're live every day at 2 Eastern. We get about, I don't know, 20,000 or something like that. If somebody offered me 50,000 to sponsor that show per week, I would be like, this seems odd. But I assume she did her due diligence, and that's why I want to have her on the show so I can ask her these questions. Because I am genuinely like, Lauren, you didn't think $100,000 a week for this show was out of control? Without 50,000 for Benny's show once a week or something? Like, it was such a crazy amount of money. I would love to see how they like kind of convinced her that, hey, this was no big deal. Which again, they obviously did because she wasn't convicted of anything. She wasn't even charged. No criminal charges were ever brought against myself, my husband, or my company. The legal investigation has been quietly closed. Despite this, the road ahead of us is fraught with difficulty and uncertainty. I wish this ordeal was over, but our struggles continue as we fight to correct the many ways our lives are upended. To that end, as some of you have kindly suggested and offered, we are seeking to cover our now still growing legal fees. Now, the Southern District of New York, I believe, is a criminal organization. And I believe that they probably had no evidence of any kind of Russian propaganda. But the point was to smear all of the top right-leaning content creators and to bankrupt Lauren Chen. That's what I believe is the case. I believe that their intent was to bankrupt Lauren Chen through the legal process, and it's very clear that they've done that. Now, she did put out a Give, Send, Go, which has raised $10,000, $10,800. I will happily donate to that after we talk. And it can be privately or publicly. I've reached out to her privately. I have some questions. You know, I just want to feel good about it before I tell my viewers, hey, go support this. I want to know where the money's going. I want to know, you know, I want to hear her side of it. I think that's reasonable. Happily have her on the show, give her 100% of the super chats, and make a donation of on my own, maybe even match it, right? Now, Tim talked about this, you know, getting paid $100,000 an episode, and how he came up with that number and how he thought it was worth it. Doesn't matter. Tim has every right he wants to say his show's worth whatever. I mean, I would say any reasonable business person would never pay $100,000 a week to sponsor his show. And again, not his main show with 40,000 live viewers, his side show on Friday afternoon, which only has 20% of the viewership his main show. Even 50,000's out of control. Even 10,000, I mean, 10 to 20,000 maybe. But 50 to 100,000 is like crazy, but it's not up to Tim. If some crazy billionaire wants to sponsor his show, fine. Same with Benny Johnson. Now, Benny Johnson, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, Benny Johnson actually left. I would love to ask Benny. Maybe Benny just texted me, actually. I don't know if he could ever say this publicly or not. But I feel like he would. I wonder if he had a weird inkling and he left early, because he was never really as implicated as like Tim Pool was. And again, Tim Pool did nothing wrong. The government never at any point said Tim Pool did anything wrong. But the Southern District of New York, the corrupt government arm, was happy to let the left-wing media smear Tim as a Russian propagandist and all this kind of stuff. So where does Lauren go from here? What can I recommend? Well, here's one thing I promised to help Lauren with. I know she has a Rumble channel, but YouTube took her YouTube channel. YouTube should, because she was not found guilty, and I will text my own YouTube rep this, because she wasn't found guilty, YouTube should restore her YouTube channel immediately. They really should. I know she has like 100,000 plus subscribers on Rumble, and I hope she continues to support all platforms. But just like I stream to YouTube and I stream to Rumble and to Twitch and to Kick. you have to get your tentacles out there as wide as you possibly can. I would love to talk to her and support her Give, Send, Go. A lot of people, Sean Fitzgerald, welcome back. I dropped a nickel in your bucket. They even nuked the movie review channel. Ryan Kinnell, after people who threw under the bus. I don't know who threw under the bus. Brett Cooper says, welcome back. Tyler Hansen, who lost everything over that allegation, he says things. So I'm not sure who, wronged her during that point. I think she probably made some foolish business decisions, but I mean, who hasn't done that? I definitely wish her shoe on head. I'm hoping that she gets her YouTube channel back and that she can start creating content. Happy to have her on the show. I'm happy to even give her a spot hosting on the show to help her kind of like rebuild herself. And now we know there was never anything. We all knew kind of that Tim and Benny and all them, they weren't told. The big thing was Russia told them what to say, and there was never any evidence of that. And now it turns out there's never any evidence of anything. Welcome back, Lauren. YouTube, you need to restore her channel, and I'm glad that you can finally put this behind you.